And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. So, around 2015, those of us in this space had our worlds rocked. I mean, like, whoa, hold on a second. Wait, what? Was my response when NewTek, now VizRT, released something I think really cool and really groundbreaking. And it was groundbreaking in the idea that IP video already existed. We had forms of IP video, but they were complicated, they were expensive, they took a lot of time to set up. It required expensive switches or proprietary hardware, right? So it was a little bit of a, why bother? Because we couldn't afford it. But in 2015, we got something called NDI. And NDI broke the barriers of what network switches you needed, what cabling you needed, what kind of components were required. And it gave us the ability to really carry the mantra of what NewTek had started, which was to unbreak the barriers to video production. Now, obviously, we're way beyond that release of 1.0, and today we're going to get to hear about 6.0. So that's 6 generations of audio features, of camera features, of PTZ features, the KVMs. Think of all the things that NDI has brought to the table that allows us to virtualize production and make it easier. So this is one of my most exciting moments here, which I get to bring up Daniel Neergaard. Now you got to forgive him. He's been screaming at the band all day, so his voice is a little shot, but we're so excited for what you're going to show us next and what your team is going to do. So thank you to the NDI team for the tools you bring to the table, because it's making all this fun for us.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick. I get this. So, if you wonder why the honey is gone down there, that's me. My voice is breaking, and it will break even more. So I'm sorry for that. I've been looking forward to this event and this presentation for a long time. Several months since Nick invited us. So thank you, Nick, and thank you, JB&A, for a fantastic event. I won't be long because I know that my voice will break, so I will hand over very soon. I will do first a little bit of an introduction. Do we have the slides? So before we do that, and we have the slides, let's just be visible to everyone, the NDI team here. So we have Nick, Roberto, Suso, Matt Lukens, Miguel, and our old-timer Charles Steinkühler. So, would you agree with me that more and more video moving over IP? Yes? I think that's kind of an understatement. Just here today, we have 120 NDI streams going on. I think that's quite amazing. My name is Daniel Neergaard. I've been heading the NDI team since 1st of January. I'm very honored to have that opportunity. It's a fantastic opportunity to be able to continue to transition the industry into more effective, cost-effective, simplified workflows. I think that's quite a journey we have ahead of us. And you will see some numbers today that will show that this will just continue. It have just started. The market is huge. So every one of you in this room that works with video and helps our end customers to be more efficient with video, that's a fantastic opportunity. And NDI is a huge enabler to this opportunity. Behind NDI, and we have a few cornerstones, we want to be simple to work with. It's plug and play. It should be cost efficient, and it should be interoperable. It sounds very easy, but under the hood, it is a lot of smartness, intelligence that sits behind. So that's also why a team with Charles Steinkuhler has been working on this for many, many, many years. And we have the same team with the same passion to continue to do this better and better every day. We are also mixing up the team with more people. We're expanding the team with new angles, with new competences. So Nick Marinette is in the room, comes from adjacent industries, adjacent technologies, but with audio. And I think that's super exciting, coming from Dolby and Audinate. So you will hear more from the NDI team about audio going forward, and you will hear a little bit and a teaser about that today as well. With that, I am soon breaking up my voice, so I will hand over to my head of strategy and VP of customer success, that instead of me will take you through the presentation. Miguel, continue.
Good afternoon, everyone. So let's look at some numbers that help us understand how big the opportunity for video is. Starting with video over IP. As legacy systems meet new opportunities, not only NDI but others, we are seeing a huge increase in the amount of converters needed to deploy these new workflows and bring new experiences to these legacy workflows. Looking at live streaming, what we see in the short term is a huge amount of increase in the value of this market, and NDI and others are playing a role in pushing this forward. And if we think about most of the things we do every day, most of them could be considered live streaming, being it an actual streamer online, a broadcast production, or one of us connecting with any other one on a FaceTime call over the internet. And finally, the opportunity goes way beyond broadcast or Pro AV. Looking at IoT devices, it's projected by next year we'll have more than 30 billion connected devices, many of them transmitting video, audio, and metadata. And some of them will be using NDI for this. Closing a little bit the context, according to HR Consulting and also our numbers as well, NDI is the leader in network video. And I can tell you that by next year when we meet again here in Las Vegas, that curve will be way steeper. Now, how did we get here and why do we believe NDI is still going to grow a lot more? When you think about video workflows, there are three main problems that everyone faces, no matter how complex the situation is. First, there is a limitation in equipment and budget. When we rely too much on hardware, in order to scale, we need to keep adding and adding and adding hardware in order to scale the workflow. Then we have complexity and need for specialized expertise. That's why many companies in this area have universities, for example, because we need to learn how to use these systems. They are not more simpler, they are more complex to use. And finally, there are too many working connectivity protocols. At NDI, we are meeting all these challenges. First, with high efficiency. We want everyone to have access to just what they need, not less, not more. Second, we are building plug-and-play solutions, and anyone here that has used NDI knows that the discoverability with NDI is automatically. You just discover NDI sources and can start right away sharing. And finally, interoperability. With NDI, any device that has NDI is discoverable over the network, and it can share audio, video, and metadata. So we are going from this very hardware-dependent workflow to software-based solutions, which is where NDI is king. With NDI, what we see is less devices, less complexity, less latency, and way more flexible workflows. Looking at the NDI ecosystem when we were first announced in 2015, and the years after that, NDI was mostly known for PTZ cameras, TriCasters, and similar hardware devices. What we are seeing internally in terms of our pipeline is that all these devices that you see here, so from video game consoles, webcams, projectors, PCs, even smartphones, there are people and companies putting NDI into all these devices. And of course, nothing here will be possible without everyone that's here and our amazing and growing ecosystem. So by next year, we'll have shipped 1 million connected NDI devices. We have more than 100 OEMs. Right now, you can find on the markets more than 700 NDI-enabled hardware SKUs, and a lot more to come. Looking at NAB, now that we are here, last year we had about 20 companies showing or showcasing NDI-enabled products. This year we are going to have 50 companies at least showing NDI-enabled products, which represents a 150 increase. Now to Charles Steinkuhler talk to us a little bit about NDI 6, our latest release.
Hello. Okay. Thank you. Hi. I'm Charles Steinkuhler. We are super excited to be here at NAB and to be introducing NDI 6. The NDI 6 is the next step in improving your ability to connect with video, with audio, everywhere you need to be. First major feature, HDR. HDR is a huge improvement in image quality, in the available contrast and color gamut that you can display, the color accuracy. For those people who run HDR, this is a very significant improvement. We had to revamp a lot of the innards of NDI to make that happen, but that's done. And it's working, and we appreciate the work with all of our partners that helped make that possible. You will see around the trade show our partners introducing NDI 6 and HDR-enabled products. HDR is one of those things that requires a whole ecosystem to properly be supported. You can't feed an HDR signal to an SDR device if you're not ready to go to a full HDR workflow. We still support 10-bit with the NDI 6. 10-bit's required for HDR, but 10-bit also doesn't have to be HDR. You can run SDI, standard SDR 10-bit through NDI now. That brings NDI on parity with your standard SDI cables, which carry 10-bit, you all know. We have been asked, I can't tell you, probably since the very first day we introduced NDI, can it do 10-bit? Can it match my SDI signal? And today, yes, it can. We've added that capability. Again, this is a environment, ecosystem aspect. So just because you download NDI 6 doesn't mean your applications and your cameras and your devices have all become HDR compatible. They have all become 10-bit compatible. Those applications have to be changed. They have to be compiled or enabled with the NDI 6, but it's possible. So with 5.6, we actually could do a little bit of 10-bit, no HDR. With NDI 6, 10-bit SDR is now fully enabled, as is HDR. In addition, we have WAN capability. The NDI Bridge, something hopefully most of or all of you are familiar with. So NDI Bridge allows you to take disparate networks, whether they're across a building or across the country or across the world, and you can connect those and you can stream NDI video and audio like it's local. So NDI Bridge is not new. That's something we've had. So the new part is it's now embedded into devices. NDI 6 allows hardware vendors to bring the join part of the bridge into the physical device. So instead of having what you would have with NDI 5, you have to have a separate bridge application running every place you want NDI to be present, now that bridge can be embedded in your camera or in your converter box, and you still need NDI bridge the application on the join side, or on the host side, but the join side can be embedded in the hardware device. Now, once again, just because NDI 6 is out, doesn't mean that your camera is instantly going to support this. The camera manufacturers, the device manufacturers need to enable it. It is there. It is part of NDI. They can include that if they want and if their hardware platforms are up to the task. Oop. And back to Miguel.
Thank you, Charles. I hope everyone here is as excited as us with NDI 6. Looking at a few use cases based not on the NDI 6, but the version prior to that. Starting with MSC, one of the biggest cruise companies in the world. So they relied on NDI to implement on their ships more than 400 NDI streams between two ships. This helped them save 2/3 in terms of cable infrastructure when compared with SDI, for example. Second, European League of Football. Although they would, of course, do this and do the productions without NDI, NDI allowed them to actually save 300 tons of CO emissions and produce 100 games at a cost-efficient cost. And lastly, live online storytelling with NHL. Thanks to NDI, they were able to connect different remote productions in an easy way, flexible way, and cost-efficient way. And of course, all these three use cases wouldn't be possible with partners like KiloView, VizRT, and many others, including AWS and Evertz. Thinking about NDI 6 and 10-bit and HDR and NDI bridge, all these three cases will only be enhanced with NDI 6, and NDI 6 will only grow within these workflows. Now, going back to a sentence that Daniel said at the beginning of the presentation, the fact is there is no video without connection, but the truth is also that there is no video without audio in many of the workflows that NDI is deployed. And NDI is both transmitting video metadata, but also a lot of audio. And this has been, I wouldn't say put on the side, but we haven't been talking about audio as much as we could, and that changes today and changes now in 2024. You already have a lot of partners, some are actually present here and will be present during the rest of NAB, that are deploying NDI-enabled audio-only solutions. So we have AV-Sono, Llama, Mackie, Inerts, Telos Alliance, Waves, and many others. AV-Sono has a whole range of NDI-enabled software products, including a virtual sound card, for example. Llama, who is providing part of the audio infrastructure today, has Llama Connect and other applications that are fully powered by NDI. Then we have the DLZ Creator. This was a very proud moment to us last year. When Mackie released the DLZ Creator, updated with support for NDI, they also released the first audio-only hardware device powered by NDI. And I invite you all to see the reviews online because they are amazing. People who had never heard about NDI out of nowhere are using this at their homes and using NDI to send audio from one room to the other. Looking at a few use cases, of course, you can use audio in broadcast and live productions and gives you way more scalability and flexibility. Because NDI is by default unicast, it's way easier to do remote cloud production when we speak about audio with NDI. Because NDI is super easy to use, going back to interoperability and plug and play, anyone can use it, even a teacher at home doing a webinar, for example. For public address systems using NDI with multicast, NDI is also ideal and helps you scale. So going back to that example of MSC, you can do the same thing with audio and just scale, scale, scale with NDI without increasing the costs. Then home entertainment, and this might be a surprise for a few of you because NDI is more associated with live production, broadcast, and Pro AV, more on the professional side. But actually, NDI is already being tested to be implemented in these kinds of devices, in particular because of the discoverability and ease of use. And finally, podcasts. People are already using the DLC creator to create podcasts at home using NDI. Now back to Charles to talk a little bit about the technical part.
Thank you, Miguel. So people think about NDI, obviously you think about video. Audio is just as important. I was told once by Tim Jennison, audio is worth 6 dB on your video signal. I have no idea if that's true, but it feels true. Audio is very important, both to NDI and to the AV market, obviously. It's right there, audio. Why use NDI for audio? Honestly, a lot of the same reasons that you use it for video. Bandwidth. So just like we have on video, we've got choices for latency, compression ratio. On the video side, we've got the same thing on audio. We've got our normal high bandwidth codec that we use that works with 32-bit floating point samples. We also have AAC and Opus support. Multi-channel. One of the unique things about NDI is multi-channel audio is sent with all the channels packetized together. So when you send that out to the cloud, across a bridge, wherever it's going, your audio streams don't get out of sync. Flexible. NDI doesn't dictate a particular sample rate. You can do 48 kilohertz, 44.1, 96. NDI can handle that. Software-based. A lot of the audio solutions that are out there have hardware requirements. They're difficult to set up. They're complex to engineer and deploy on site. NDI is a software-based standard. It's designed to work over standard networks. It's designed to work without requiring hardware, without requiring PTP, various hardware hooks. The Wi-Fi LAN cloud, that's our bridge. Again, it's a software protocol. It works over Wi-Fi and wired networks. Does not require any special Ethernet. It can work inside the cloud, to the cloud, from the cloud. But audio is not the only thing that's interesting about NDI besides video. We also have metadata. This is something that doesn't get a lot of attention, and along with audio is one of the things we're going to be focusing on in the future. NDI supports bidirectional metadata from the sender to the receiver and from the receiver to the sender. If you look back here, you'll see a couple of Flex control surfaces with the VizRT group. Those are NDI connected. They're using a standard NDI receiver and connector. They're using metadata, bidirectional metadata, to control the TriCaster from the control surface, and the TriCaster controls what's displayed on the control surface with that metadata. That metadata can be frame synchronized. It can be attached to the connection, which is what we're doing with the control surfaces, or it can be attached to a specific video or audio frame. That is critical if you're doing something like you've got a 3D camera and you need to know the position of that camera at the time the video frame was taken, the zoom of the lens, the XYZ and position of the camera, so that you can pull that into your AR system. That is a key feature of NDI's metadata that does not exist in many of the other streaming protocols. And that metadata can literally be anything. So right now, we're using it for a variety of things. That's the PTZ control people are probably familiar with. That's metadata on NDI. Literally anything that you can pack into XML data, we can send and receive as metadata. We're going to be doing a lot with this as we move forward. So moving forward, NDI 6.1, what sorts of things are we working on? So, upcoming, we realize there's always work to do. as I said, we want to focus on audio. We think that there's a lot of room for NDI to move more audio than we do, and to go into audio-only solutions that haven't really been thought about because we're generally just considered video streaming. Monitoring tools and use cases. Broadcast especially wants to know, is my stream live? Is everything working right? What's broken? What's not broken? You want to have a confidence monitor. We're working on adding support for that. Educational content. We have started, if you go look at the NDI website, there's been a lot of changes recently. One of the big changes is we've got a docs and guides section. You can now peruse the SDK documentation and various white papers. You don't have to download the SDK just to be able to read the docs. You can search through it. Honestly, it looks really great visually, and it's amazing that it's online. I have made use of that myself multiple times in the last several weeks. And then, again, improved support for metadata. So we have a lot of there's a lot of features that we can add, inserting metadata, using metadata. We would like to see that standardized across the NDI ecosystem. We want to enable automation workflows. We want to be able to do things like closed captioning, embed time code, embed automation protocols into the NDI data stream. There's no reason you can't do that. We have people doing very interesting things in that field already, but we don't want it to be vendor specific. We want it to be open and interoperable. We want NDI to continue to be NDI, where everything works together and everything's easy to use. And we're going to be doing a lot of work in ensuring that you can do exciting things with NDI, not just looking at the video, not just hearing the audio, but in command and control and other aspects. Miguel? Or back to Daniel.
Thank you, Charles. So there you go again. So time for a wrap-up. Before the wrap-up, I just want to inform you that we are, from 1st of May, running a very cost-efficient way of expanding your NDI network and the ecosystem. We have feedback from our partners. We listen to our partners. They want to have a cost-efficient way to expand the camera network with NDI. So from 1st of May, you will see a campaign about that. If you want some more details, you can talk to anyone in the NDI team, specifically Matt Lukens, that knows this very well. So also, we cannot cover everything here today. You have the team. We try to be visible with the shirts, with the polos. So if you want to discuss more technical depth with us, please do. We have Nick, again, Head of Product Management. We have Charles Steinkühler, been working with NDI for many years, almost 30. And Roberto Musso is also here to discuss use cases and how to implement NDI. So please, stop by, come by, and talk to us. So there are 3 things to remember. We will continue to innovate. And you already see that we're thinking about 6.1 or whatever we will call that in the future. But very soon, we are launching the next innovative release of NDI. And that innovation will continue. Audio is important, and you will see more about audio from NDI. And the team is growing, and we are investing in the team. So last week was a big week. NDI 6 launched. Today is a big day. Thank you so much, JB&A, for a fantastic event.